Good morning, Miss Lilis.
Good morning.
Got everybody here?
I just sent them a message. They said they're going to send me.
Okay. So we can wait for. We're waiting for one more press people.
Up a day to our viewers of Guam and the CNMI and abroad. We're here at the Arnold and Dave headquarters, just waiting for their joint press conference. We just got copies of the Unity Pledge for the Marianas. That's what they're calling it. This is the first joint press conference that the coalition is holding ahead of the runoff election, which is just under 2 weeks away. So we're just waiting for them to start the press conference.
Are you guys streaming this anywhere? You are?
No. But I'm going to take pictures.
And while we're waiting, some of the main points here of the joint press conference and the Unity Pledge. Number one, opening up Commonwealth's financial books. Number two, ending the culture of cronyism, nepotism, and political intimidation in our government. Number three, restoring the integrity of law enforcement agencies. Number four, instituting election reform. They also list here improving and expanding access to healthcare, establishing a robust workforce development program for Saipan, Tinian, and Rhoda, completing long-delayed disaster recovery and infrastructure development projects. And those are some of the bolded bullet points here of the Unity Pledge for the Marianas, which Lieutenant Governor Arnold, Palacios, Mayor David Apatang, Representative Tina Sablan, and Representative Leila Staffler are all here seated for this first joint official press conference in which they are going to sign this Unity Pledge for the Marianas. Again, if you're just joining us, we're here at the ED headquarters in Garaban, where the Democratic and Independent coalitions have gathered to make this official pledge. Of course, this is coming just after the GOP held their press conference yesterday, updating the public on their plans. And we will continue to follow up on those topics. Again, as early voting starts this week, and the runoff election officially is on the 25th. And so we're just moments away from hearing exactly how this Unity Pledge transpired, and we'll be asking questions about it. So in just a few moments, we'll be starting. They're just waiting on some late media, and we will have the full press conference streaming throughout the next hour.
Are we ready?
It's all ready?
Yeah. Right. You have to look at corruption, reform, very well.
Brad? Almost. You almost?
I am already live. Thank you.
Good morning. First, I want to thank everyone here today. The press corps. It's not from the Lieutenant Governor's office. This is the Commonwealth press, people from the press from the Commonwealth. KSPN, KUAM, Variety, Tribune, Marianas Morning Show, and we have a public information person from Latina and Leila. Thank you for joining us this morning. I also want to acknowledge and the presence of many of our dignitaries present, members of the House and Senator. Go ahead and get and of course our first governor of the Commonwealth, Dr. Palacios. Thank you, Uncle Charlie, for being here. It's certainly an honor to welcome the members of the legislature. Some are returning. Other members of the Arnold and Dave committees and members of the Democrat committee. It certainly is an honor for you to be present here with Dave and I and Tina and Leila. Let me just say a few words. Right after the election, we got together and we were talking prior to the election, going up to the last day of the election about perhaps talking about things after the election, regardless of who wins and who loses, or if one of us will make it to the runoff. So immediately the day after, we had coffee at my house, and what we have is a unity pledge between the AD team and the Sablan Staffler team of salient issues and programs that we can all agree on are very important for our Commonwealth and with the Palacios, Apatang. If we are successful, we'll pursue. I want to thank Tina and Leila for putting the time to put our thoughts down on paper, and some of you have already got a copy of this unity pledge. With that, I want to turn it over to Tina for a few words. Thank you.
Thank you, Arnold, and good morning to everyone who's here today, our Democrats and independents, members of the press, and of course, my colleagues here, Arnold and Dave and Leila. Thank you all for being here. As Arnold was saying, this unity pledge is really the product of a conversation that began really right after the results of the general election were out. And we met to discuss the shared vision and values and priorities that we do have between both of our campaigns. And Leila and I, it was important to Leila and me to make sure that they also understood some of the goals and objectives that we were pushing throughout the campaign that were also consistent with their vision and their priorities. And it really wasn't that difficult to come to this set of agreements. And I think it was actually Dave's idea. Let's make this a public document. Let's put it to writing, and let's make this a public document. And so that people can see these are the things that we agree on. These are the priorities that we will collaborate on, and people can make their decisions based on that for the runoff election. So this pledge is really the product of that collaboration, that ongoing conversation, and our shared understanding that the need for a change in leadership in the Commonwealth has never been more urgent. And we need to make that happen on November 25th.
Well,
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us this morning. This is a very important occasion for us. This is actually a highlight for us here in the Commonwealth, where the Democrats and Independent got together to unite for the betterment of our people here in the Commonwealth. And this is very happy day for us. The pledge that we're signing today is a very important pledge. Arnold and I have the same vision on our campaign. So we will make sure that we honor this pledge 100%. Same goes to all our agencies and all that, and I will make sure that we follow the pledge 100%. This is for our people. We need to take our government back, return it to our people. They deserve it. We need to stop all this keep and key stuff. So, thank you very much for joining us this morning.
I want to just reiterate how important it is that all people of the Commonwealth get out and make sure that they put their vote. I want the people of the Commonwealth to know that this unity pledge represents the high expectations that we should have of our government. And I want to thank the Arnold and Dave team for committing to this vision. As you could see throughout the campaign season from many months ago, that we often had a similar vision of what our Marianas could be, because we know that the current administration does not exhibit what we know to be a good governance. And unfortunately, we are at this crossroad where there's so much pressure out there in the community, and we need our community to stand strong and be committed to that good governance pledge. And I'm very excited for us to share this with everyone today. Thank you.
With that, I also want to add a little bit. I'm very happy that we have a lot of members of our legislatures, and please take a look at the pledge. I believe that these are pledges that the components of these pledges are pledges that I know each and every one of you elected members, returning members of the legislature, and even the new ones have on your campaign trail, and even in your on your discussions, in open discussion in the legislative chamber, have uttered these same thoughts and words. So I urge you to take a look at it, and this is something that we as a team could pursue. Not just Dave and I, but also people, our elected leaders in the legislative branch. With that, let me start by reading the pledge. This unity pledge draws from plan laid out in the Democratic Sablan Staffler platform and the vision and priorities of the independent Palacios Apatang coalition. Through this unity pledge, we, the undersigned, affirm our shared commitments to restoring public trust in government, laying the foundations for good governance in the Northern Mariana Islands. We recognize the urgency of the moment in ensuring that there will be a change in leadership and a new Palacios Apatang administration that will right the ship of government and place our Commonwealth on a healthier, more equitable, and more prosperous course.
Arnold and I are committed to leading and serving the people of the Marianas with integrity, fairness, transparency, and fiscal responsibility. As Governor and Lieutenant Governor, we will express these values in our actions, which shall include, but not limited to, opening up the Commonwealth financial books. Within the first 100 days of office, the Palacios Apatang administration will report to the people on the true financial conditions of the government and their plans to improve collections and efficiency, continue to the delivery of public services, and reverse the impacts of 7 years of reckless spending under the Torres administration. Ending the cultures of cronyism, nepotism, and political intimidation in our government. The Palacios Apatang administration will ensure fairness in government contracting and hiring. Public contracts will be awarded after an open bidding process and with adherence to government procurement issues or rules. The Palacios Apatang administration will restore the merit-based system of public employment and accept applications for political appointments as well. We will also invest in the professional development of government employees to include training and ethics, the Open Government Act, customer service, and workplace rights.
The third item would be restoring the integrity of law enforcement agencies. The Palacios Apatang administration will address the leadership, officer morale, training, and misconduct issues impacting the Commonwealth's law enforcement agencies, especially at the Department of Public Safety and the Department of Corrections. We will also reestablish and strengthen relationships with our federal law enforcement partners, especially the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Instituting election reform. The Palacios Apatang administration will work and collaborate with the legislature and the Commonwealth Election Commission to enact legislations that improves the integrity and efficiency of the election process and establish standard operating procedures before the next general election.
The Palacios Apatang administration will also prioritize public resources for investments that build for the thriving future, and especially in healthcare, education, and training worker protections, sustainable economic development, and infrastructure. These investments shall be distributed equally across the Marianas and should include, but not limited to, number one, improving and expanding access to healthcare. The Palacios Apatang administration will transfer funding owed to the Commonwealth Healthcare Corporation, including long overdue federal funds allocated over a year ago for a new MRI unit for the hospital. They will also deliver support to the Tinian and Rhoda Health Centers to provide access to critical supplies and services, including dental care. The Palacios Apatang administration will work with the legislature and the Commonwealth Healthcare Corporation to reform medical referral services and establish a sustainable health network program under the CSCC, recognizing the insurance cliff that thousands of residents will face when Medicaid presumptive eligibility ends. The Palacios Apatang administration will provide a public buy-in option in the government health insurance plan and for the CNMI Medicaid.
2, establishing a robust workforce development program for Saipan, Tinian, and Rhoda. The Palacios Apatang administration will facilitate collaborations among the Department of Labor, educational institutions, and employers to provide pathways to education and training, apprenticeship, and gainful employment for people of the Commonwealth. The Palacios Apatang administration will work collaboratively with the legislature, advocates, and employers to strengthen protections in the law for public and private sector workers and to gradually raise the minimum wage. The Palacios Apatang administration will also continue to support the passage of Congressman Sablan's HR 560 and ensure that the inclusion of CW workers and their families in the Commonwealth's transition to 2019 when the CW program is due to. Completing the long-delayed disaster recovery and infrastructure development projects. Within 100 days of office, the Palacios Apatang administration will provide a report to the people of the Commonwealth of the status of all disaster recovery and infrastructure projects in Saipan, Tinian, and Rhoda that have yet to be completed. The reconstruction and repair of our public educational facilities will be given special priority. That is Hopwood and other elementary schools that have yet to be rebuilt. The Palacios Apatang administration will additionally leverage the resources of the government in cleaning up and beautifying our islands and revitalizing, repairing, and maintaining tourist sites across the Marianas. This effort shall include an assessment of the structural integrity of the casino resort in Garpa and a market feasibility study and regulatory review of the gaming industry. The Palacios Apatang administration will also prioritize the use of federal and local infrastructure money to make meaningful investments in energy efficiency and renewables. The completion of the Cagman Watershed project and the delivery of clean, drinkable tap water for the people of the CNMI.
The people of the Marianas deserve a trustworthy and responsible government, economic development that is compatible with our environment and cultures, and islands that are clean, safe, and beautiful.
The time to join forces and work together for the greater good is now, and it has never been more urgent. We appeal to the voters of the Commonwealth to make their voices heard in the runoff election on November 25th and vote for the change in leadership we need with Arnold Palacios and David Apatang.
True signature.
Thank you.
We have a photo since it's unity of you guys holding hands for a photo op. Is that okay?
Absolutely.
Standing and holding hands.
Stand and hold this pledge.
We'll do that, yeah. Is that all right? Does that look all right?
It's okay. One more, please.
Thank you.
So we can take questions now?
Yeah.
Yes, my first question is in regards to who exactly was involved in drafting of this bill. Lieutenant Governor, when you first started, you made an appeal to the representatives and senators-elect in the room. Whose hands are on this unity pledge?
Actually, it was when we had the first discussion that morning. I know that Tina and Leila have been in the legislative branch, and Dave and I have also been in the administration and the mayor. But throughout our campaign, these are really commonalities of issues that we've discussed and even stood up there advocating on many occasions, not just the Arnold and Dave, the Palacios Apatang team, but I know because I watch the Democrats, Tina and Leila and other members of the other candidates of their party. So I'm very comfortable that the pledge that we're making is something that even in the legislative branch would be received well.
And if I may add to that, just to, I guess, more directly answer your question about whose hands were on this document, we, as Arnold mentioned earlier, we met immediately after the election and really hashed out some of the things that we know we have in common and that we want to put to writing, right? And so the draft really started from there, and we looked at both our platform as well as theirs, and then vetted the draft with both of our respective teams. And once we said, okay, we've agreed on this, we're ready to sign, we scheduled this press conference.
And just a few more follow-ups. Lieutenant Governor, you're still sitting in your Lieutenant Governor capacity. Don't you have access to some of these books already? And if you do, then why not make them, the ones you have access to, public already?
I wish that was true, Tomas, but I don't. I don't have access to the financial management system as it is today. The only access I have to the financial management system is to the account of the Lieutenant Governor. That's unfortunate. I really do wish I have that access, but I'm completely blocked out. I've been blocked out from this administration, access to a lot of things. You know, if you know, not too long after Dave and I declared our candidacy, my name was taken out of the official letterhead of the Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands. So starting from then, I don't have a lot of access to a lot of things, and especially to the financial management system.
And if I may, you would think that the legislature would also have access to the Commonwealth's financial books, because we supposedly control the government's purse, and the truth is that we don't, which is why we've had to resort to subpoenas on the Department of Finance to get some of the financial records that we want.
And at yesterday's press conference, the GOP says that they share some of the same plans or goals as you all do as an independent coalition. It's no secret they're trying to appeal to the Democrat and independent voters and have some of them transfer over next Friday. They say that they have the same goals, but the approaches are different. Can you just comment on that characterization of the campaign? Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I listened to a little bit of that press conference yesterday and felt like I was in the Twilight Zone, to be totally candid. And it was almost amusing to listen to Rob Torres talk about all the things that he suddenly has in common with the Democrats. Well, the one thing that Democrats have been pushing for throughout this campaign is an end to public corruption, a restoration of trust and integrity in our government, fiscal responsibility. We have nothing in common with Rob Torres' administration.
Yeah, so you obviously know that the Republicans and the governor's guys are already reaching out to your respective supporters to switch on their side. So my questions are two. Number two, how cohesive or intact your supporters are in the community? And number two, how would you like to address your supporters now?
Well, I know they're trying their best, and I've had a number of supporters call or actually came up and said, well, so-and-so came to my house and is asking me to switch. And I you know, to me, I trust. I'm a very trusting person to my supporters, but I leave it up to them. They're very strong. They're pretty strong. But at the end of the day, let's ask ourselves this question. After 1 year of campaigning and being with us, and after 1 year of advocating for a change in the way governance is conducted in the Commonwealth, this is the time to stay strong and usher in the change that we've been longing for a long, long time.
Yeah, and I would agree with that. We're encouraging all of our supporters, the people who voted for Leila and me, and as well as the people who voted for Arnold and Dave, to stay the course. We can see change in our leadership, the change that we need if people turn out for the runoff election and vote.
Last question. Since yesterday, the number of people applying for boost program have increased dramatically. So it looks like the governor is boosting his campaign for the runoff. So would you like to comment on that?
I'd like to start if I can. I know there's many people who have applied and have even yet to get any kind of confirmation on their application status. And so although there might be a lot of new applications and there have been a lot of people receiving, there's a lot of people who've also not received anything at all. And it feels like it's a pick and choose kind of game, and that's really not an equitable or fair way of using federal funds to support business community. There's a lot of small businesses who are being ignored right now, and that is not appropriate.
That's exactly, in one section of the pledge articulates that we will be fair. The policies such as the boost program would be equitable, and the criterion to qualify for such a program would be transparent and equitable to everybody, so everybody will know what goes in and who will qualify and under which criteria or what criteria those applications would be vetted on. Right now, we don't even know who's getting what and for what. But thank you for bringing that up. Yes, we were talking about that yesterday in our press conference, and we noticed that we were getting calls from Rhoda that they're down there handing out checks for boost program. Obviously, I said that the timing was questionable, but Tina had a stronger thought on that, and maybe she can share that. But people need to understand. Our people will understand and we'll figure this out, because on the 11th hour of the runoff election, this program was launched, and in fact, the governor was in Rhoda yesterday, I think, handing out checks. Nobody knows how did those people were qualified or were awarded, and that is not to say that our people don't deserve that. But all we were saying is that in this type of program, you got to be equitable and you got to be transparent with the process, so that people understand and our people will not suspect that this is vote buying. People are saying that out there.
Yes, they are. Yeah, I said that it was blatantly political. The timing of these doling out of checks, and some in huge sums from what I'm hearing. We don't really know for sure because there hasn't been any transparency and how much is going out to whom and based on what criteria, which is a huge concern. It should be a huge concern for all of us. I think this boost program, among many other programs that have been rolled out by Ralph Torres, I think it needs to be audited. And I fear that if and when there is an audit, the CNMI will fail that audit. And going back to what Leila was saying too, we know that there are businesses that have applied ever since, and they still haven't even gotten like a confirmation that their application was received. We feel for those people, those businesses who really need help. And if I may just say, small businesses have needed help ever since also. They needed help when the pandemic began. They needed help in year 2. And why? Why did Ralph Torres wait until the week that people were voting to start passing out checks? Blatantly political. Any other questions?
Yes, please. So I've seen runoffs before, and I've seen other people give their support to other candidates before. This is the first time since I've been here that I've seen like an actual unity pledge, and two people that are going for the same highest spot in the Commonwealth getting together on this kind of a level. Do you think this sends a message to the potential voters that there is no ambiguity, that you guys are together going forward on this?
Yeah, I don't think there's any ambiguity. I think people are confident and comfortable with this pledge and our commitment to working together. I've worked with Tina for several years in the legislature in different capacity, and in fact, I was looking at my email, and in 2018, right after the Bloomberg article came out regarding the casino and the potential involvement of then Governor Torres, and we had already declared our candidacy, and Tina had the audacity in February of 2018, right when we started campaigning, she had the audacity to send me a letter at 5 o'clock in the morning saying, you need to reconsider this, you're better than this. And I think I strongly believe that he can run independent and be a better governor. So I'm very comfortable with her commitment, and I believe that the public will see that. I know that in my heart also that my commitment to our pledge and doing good for our people is solid. Our commitment to not just the Democratic Party, but people across the Commonwealth, to the Republicans and members of this community. Our pledge is to do good for our people. Simple as that.
And I think you're right, Brad. This is historic. I can't think of any other time when formerly friendly rival gubernatorial candidates came together like this and drafted out a document and signed it in a public signing ceremony. I think this is the first time it's been done. And the idea was to make it absolutely clear to all of our supporters that we need to stay strong, we need to stay united for the good of the Commonwealth.
Now, the next thing, we spoke about this yesterday morning when you guys were on the show, so thank you again for that. But talked about the debate and that there wasn't really a need to get into a debate with the governor again unless he was going to take an oath prior to the debate.
Yep.
Yesterday during the press conference, that question came up, and he said he would take an oath prior to the debate. Does that change the position of your team for taking up a debate?
No, that's one of the conditions that we put forth, and you know, one is to just look back at the history of when Governor Torres makes those kind of statements like, I don't have anything to hide. Right at the legislature is like, just ask a question, invite me to the legislature. You don't have to go through all this drama. I will answer your questions. Well, it has not answered those questions. I got dragged to the legislative hall. I was subpoenaed on his behalf for all the things that he supposedly did, but you know, saying that he's gonna, we'll swear under oath.
So if you're under oath, we'll
sure.
That's
we will also sit down with the Chamber of Commerce and say these are going to be the subject issues that we would like included in the discussions and the debates of the debates.
Just 1 second. The last thing I want to do is about, I saw something that came at the end of the Unity Pledge there, and following the legislature a bit this year, saw that the Cagman Watershed was a project that you were really trying to champion. Representative Staffler, can you tell us a little bit about that and why it's in the Unity Pledge?
Yes, I guess it's just another example of one of the many infrastructure projects that have been neglected by this administration. This, among many other things, including emails from the EPA on small projects that could be done immediately to start the pathway toward drinkable water. All of these kinds of things, emails from the USDA, NCRS groups about providing immediate support to finish that project, which has been long-standing for over 20 years. And they're just ignored by this administration. And so we really wanted to make sure that the things that have been ongoing, that have lots of importance for our farmers, for our community, for the environment, that they're actually addressed and completed, from the infrastructure of building the schools to making sure that we actually take advantage of the federal funds that are there for the intentions that they are. And so that's why it is part of this pledge. And I want to ask all of our supporters to know that this is the future of our Marianas. Any boost or things that you receive between now and Election Day will not sustain us beyond your personal.
So we know that you, Mayor Apatang, and a lot of the candidates under your party were former Republicans. Today we witnessed, a coalition with the Democrat Party. Could you just, clarify with us where you stand with the party lines, especially the principal values?
Sally, I've been a Republican for, since I ran in the House and even prior to that. My father was a Democrat, but one comes to realize at some point that party affiliation does not count or does not trump principle. And that's why you have a lot of members of the elected members of the legislature are now independent and Democrats. I guess we've come to that point at the crossroads where party affiliation is not going to count anymore in the Commonwealth. People are voting. Look at, in our history, we have the first time 3 women from Sablan are in the Senate. 3 Democrats and 1 independent. And the House of Representatives is going to be composed of independents and Democrats, and for the first time in a long time, the Republicans are going to be in real minority. So, to answer that question, I'm still friends, and I hope I'm still family to some of the folks that are still in the Republican Party. But there comes a time in your life when you have to make those decisions. And I've made that decision, Dave has made that decision, and many of us have made that decision. We respect the members of the Republican Party, but I think we've decided to forge and take a different path towards helping our community.
If I may add, also, Sally, the Democrats, as we are building up our party, it's still very much a young organization in some respects since we came together again. But we also have former Republicans and people with both Republican roots and Democrat roots, and I really think it comes down to our shared principles, our shared goals, our shared vision, and we are in this moment now when we have to come together, almost regardless of party affiliation, really for the good of the Commonwealth, right? And for this future that we all are hoping for. We have to start building for that now, and that requires unity.
Last question, please. So now it's apparent that independent and Democrats will get the leadership of both houses in the legislature. LT, if you become governor, how would you guarantee that there will still be check and balance in the government and that your administration will not fall into despotic rule just because you are allies with both houses of the legislature?
I respect the legislature. The legislative branch is a separate branch of government. I also became, when I first became a member of the House, there was the Republican had supermajority. We had the executive branch, we had the Senate, and we had the House. Supermajority. And some of us at the time, although we were newly new in the legislative branch, have worked throughout our careers in the executive branch and some in the private sector. And we understand the separation of powers, and I can guarantee that I will respect members of the legislature when they make their decision. They have a process of making that decision. But I will also collaborate with them, break bread with them, regardless of their perspective and their opinions, and see where we can work together. You know, that to me, it's how do you call it? Team building, and it's you know, we need to all work together. I mean, and you know, that statement sometimes and that sentence sometimes is like cliche. You hear it all the time, but you know, like in my career and in my life now, I've come to that point where I don't have any more egos to feed. All we want to do, and I know the members of the legislature at this point, all they want to do is to get things done for our people. We have so much opportunity that we're squandering unnecessarily. And I say that with all in humility and in honesty. We could be in a better place. And that's...
And I can vouch for Arnold's style of working across the aisle in the legislature. So even when we were in the minority, right? When I was a member of the minority in the previous legislature, and when he was still a Republican, and before Ralph Torres, you know, made the very childish move of ousting him from the administration, basically, Arnold was still reaching out across the aisle, bringing everybody together, talking about the issues, raising concerns about, for example, how federal funds were being squandered, and how we could improve the accountability for those funds and move forward together on solutions, right? So that's how I've known Arnold all these years.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, I just wanted to ask Mayor, Lieutenant Governor, if you could comment on Governor Torres' statement about your health and that health is a better choice in this election based on that.
You know, let me start by saying that I believe is an unfortunate statement on the part of the government. This country have had presidents that were on wheelchair, yet have become one of the most iconic United States president. You guys can go Google that up. But Eloy Ines was not in the best of health. He had a health issue also. Yet he got elected and honorably served, albeit for only a short period of time. So my answer to that, and that is an unfortunate statement on the governor, on part of the governor, and even for Vinny to sit there and allow him to campaign on that particular issue. Okay?
So for
Fit
myself,
to lead. Fit to lead. I have it here and I have it here. Okay? I may not walk straight, but hey, I'll get there.
Thank you for that question, Kim. You know, you always see me at work, right? I'm walking straight. I go to funeral, I go to most of the services that they have here. You know, as far as help is concerned, you know, I've been walking. I just quit walking because some of my partners gave up. But I will continue to walk. The governor is the only one walking. You know? Just to show face there at Gold's Gym and pretend like it's lifting weight.
Can I also just weigh in on
same.
this? Because I thought it was so disrespectful and such a low blow and so offensive, really. To every single one of us should be offended that Ralph Torres has made fitness and health a campaign issue, right? He himself is hardly the picture of fitness. In any sense of that word, not just physical fitness, moral fitness, intellectual fitness. Ralph Torres is unfit to lead as governor. He should not be given another 4 years.
Would you like to comment on the governor's habit of exploiting other people's health condition for his campaign? You know, the governor has this is not the first time he did that. During the time, he exploited Governor health condition to achieve his ambition, and he's doing it again. He's exploiting other people's health condition for his campaign. Would you like to comment on that?
I think he should absolutely be the one to answer for that. And the people should send a very strong message that that's not who we are. That does not reflect the values of who we are as the people of the Marianas at all. And we should vote him out.
I just echo everything you guys are saying. I have no words because I just feel like it is a low blow, and what you bring to the table in the experience and ways to connect all of your networks, that's what matters, and not whatever it is that they're claiming. Yeah.
Just I have 3 questions. The first question is about the consequences. Mayor Apatang, you were the first to say on this panel that you will ensure that this pledge is seen through 100%. But with all due respect, Lieutenant Governor, you perhaps also created this alliance with Governor Torres when you were his running mate, and there was a political divorce there, so to speak. So what are the true consequences if you're elected into office, they receive the number of votes they need, and they move forward and break from this promise? What's the consequences if your administration does not follow through with this?
I don't know what the consequences are. I know it's not going to be good, but I can tell you this. I broke away because I've seen too much, and I got blamed for not saying anything well. I broke away from it, and today I'm very happy that I did. Win, lose, or draw, I'm glad that I did that. Now, I can't say anything in terms of what you're asking me, but I can tell you, in my heart, deep down in my heart, to the extent that we can do everything to comply with this agreement and this pledge, we will. And this is not going to be the last time just because we signed this pledge. This is not the last time. I'm going to be meeting with Tina and Leila and members of Independents or the Democrats to take a look at this and see where we need, because this is not just going to be the Palacios, Apatang's administration to get done. This needs to also, part of this actually requires a legislative process. And I will do everything in my power, and I know Tina and Leila will do everything in their power, albeit not as elected leaders, but as advocates to get these things done.
I will definitely be continuing my political advocacy with public comments. So if I need to, I will definitely go and remind them. But I know that that's just part of what we encourage all community members to do. Be involved in the civic engagement that we have available. The legislature has public comments all the time, every time they have a session. Same with the Senate. Attend these things. If your voice isn't heard, then how do they know what you think? And so thank you for opening that door and being willing to pledge support for these very important principles, because this is one of the things that will help change our Marianas. I mean, I've said it multiple times.
In that regards to Thomas, I can say this. One day I had a call from one of the governor's nemesis, and that was Congressman Ed Probst, and he said, "Hey, LT, can Tina and I come up to your office?" I said, "Absolutely. What is this about?" He said, "We just want to talk to you about certain things." I said, "Okay." I said, "Am I going to be allowed the front to go past the front door?" I said, "I'll have my own people walk down there and tell everybody that, hey, we're going to escort the props up to my office." And that's how I have conducted myself as an individual. You know, Fabian in the Leisure is one of the most, I mean, in fact, you see all the locks and the security locks in the governor's office right now in the administrative building? Those locks were put in place because of Fabian in the Leisure. And I keep reminding, like, dude, you know, sometimes I forget about the locks here, and I walk through, I walk at the glass door. That's all your fault. But, you know, I said, thank you. He said, you know, I do apologize sometimes that I'm really hardcore with you. But I said, no, you're an individual, you're an advocate too. You have the right, and this is a public office, so you're always welcome. And so Tina and Leila, even if they're, like I said, anybody is welcome will be welcoming in my administration. And I know we blew about maybe over $200,000 to put those automatic security doors in place, but those are coming down. The electronic will be coming down.
How about no recording signs? We're going to take no cameras.
Yeah, well, we're going to allow recording, but you know.
I also just wanted to say on that question that, yeah, I'm not going anywhere either. And I've told Arnold and Dave, and actually Fabian and I, speaking of Fabian, have talked about this as well. I will continue to be an active citizen, and we will continue to eyeball this administration and hold them to the promises that they're making and the commitments that they're making, right? And I also want to add, you know, kind of piggybacking on what Leila just said, that these commitments, you know, it's not just on Arnold and Dave to get this done. We need the legislature. We need the people of the Commonwealth, all our citizens, to participate. That's what this democracy is all about. That's how we can get to a better place in our Commonwealth, is if everybody gets involved in holding all our leaders accountable and weighing in when there are opportunities to do so to make our policies better.
Just my last two questions. It's a question that actually a few of our viewers have already commented. They're wondering if part of this pledge is also for you to work in the administration. Can you comment if you will be working in this administration if they are victorious?
Yeah, no, we haven't actually talked about that. And Arnold and Dave, my understanding is they haven't promised jobs to anybody, and I'm not asking for that either.
We told her to get ready to work.
Submit an application.
Probably pro bono.
But no, that's not part of the deal. Like, we're not jockeying for jobs in the administration. We really just want to make sure that these commitments are carried through.
All right, thank you. And just my very last question. It appears that the independents will not have their own poll workers or observers based on CEC's decision. The executive director, Igutol, suggested that you go to either party and ask. I assume you're going to be asking the Democrats. Or is that going to be a coordination for the election?
I absolutely think we need to work together, and that the Democrats should make sure that there are poll workers there to provide for the integrity of this election process.
Leila, you mentioned earlier about your advocacy after this in public comments. LT, you mentioned about Fabian Indolatio. Since we have so many of the legislators in the room who are going to be here, who are going to be coordinating with you, when somebody does come to make some sort of public comment, are they going to be able to make their public comment free and clear through that appointed time period that they'll have?
Absolutely. I've been a presiding officer of the legislature in the House, as the Speaker and the Senate President. I've never cut off anybody, even if they've gone for 6-7 minutes, and sometimes out of subject out there. But I've never. It's just not really in my personality or even in my style of leadership to do that. And what we witnessed in the Senate it was a real anomaly on democracy, and unfortunate. But I have confidence that the incoming Senate and the incoming House of Representatives and even the President House of Representatives would have the formalities and the protocols and the decorum to allow for public comments. Sometimes the comments are not what we want to hear. But, you know, that's the right of every citizen, and that's the rules of the House and the Senate is for public comments, and that's part of open government. So, we always welcome comments from members of the public.
I'd like to piggyback on just commenting that this current legislature House has been one of the most open and transparent in ensuring that all of their sessions are broadcast on time. You don't wait very long, especially people who come to do public comments. We honor your time because we know how precious it is. And so I'm very proud of our House that we've had this last 2 years. And I know because they are going to retain the leadership that will continue. And now, because we will have a majority in the Senate, I know that the Senate will also be more transparent and open in their sessions for the next round. And so it's definitely a change. These are how things happen. Change takes time. That wasn't the case in the previous legislatures where the sessions were broadcast on YouTube live. And so that's something that our public should continue to demand of our leaders, and I do see that it will be something that will happen. Thank you in advance.
Mr. Indolesia?
Yeah, I'd like to make a public comment. Back on the 2021, I was a September